the major stakeholders here, all the stakeholders, actually agree that there must be legislation, there must be law, there must be regulations, so that we don't have that obstacle where stakeholders believe that we ought not to do it, or Parliament ought not to intervene, or we should not develop regulations and law, regulating the sector. So we have consensus that we must have regulation. What we may not have is consensus as to the extent of the regulations, to the extent of the law. I begin, Madam Speaker, let me begin at the end. There was a meeting. First, the member pointed out that the work of this committee crossed the 4th to the 5th session of the Parliament. Indeed, we saved the work so that we can continue in the 5th session. But, Madam Speaker, something very curious took place in this 5th session concerning this report, and I will just point it out early. Madam Speaker, there was one meeting in the 5th session, and only one meeting. It was on November 7th, 2019. Interestingly, and we have the records now as part of our report, Madam Speaker, committee members attending: Chairman, Mr. Fitzgerald Hines, MP, Ms. Glenda Jennings-Smith, MP, Mr. Clarence Rambarat, Member, Senator, Mr. Nigel De Freitas, Member, and Independent Senator Dr. Varma Dayal Singh. Those who were excused and absent: Mr. Stuart Young, MP, Brigadier General Retired Ansel Antoine, MP, Mr. David Lee, MP, Dr. Roodlal Moonilal, MP, Mr. Paul Richards, MP, Independent Senator, Mr. Saddam Hussein, Senator, and Senator Mr. Foster Cummings. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You had about 7 members absent from this final meeting. The meeting started at 2:41 p.m. and ended at 3 minutes past 3. Now, so how much minutes? 22 minutes. Now, the custom has always been that when you make your first meeting of any committee, that meeting is there for the appointment of a chairman to discuss the quorum and plan your action. You may take the time as well to plan an agenda and say, look, we want to do A, B, C, and this is the time we are looking at. So, Madam Speaker, it did not pain me that I was absent at that meeting. I was, in fact, out of the country. In fact, I was out of the country as well at that time. And I was not at pains because you understand, Madam Speaker, the purpose of the first meeting. Incidentally, when you look at the records, unless I'm mistaken, I would have attended 90% of the meetings. I can't recall missing any meeting of this Joint Select Committee, except the first meeting in the 5th session, where the Speaker, your good self, ma'am, would come and go through what we are very familiar with, a process. That process took place. It started at 2:41. Madam Speaker, upon being appointed chairman, the member for Laventille West took the chair, and then a discussion took place on the quorum, and they agreed to have a quorum of 3 persons with representation from both houses. The terms of reference discussed. But there's a part here that is interesting. The chairman invited members to review the final report and provide feedback. There was unanimous agreement by members present to adopt the report as circulated. The secretary to the committee was instructed to prepare the final report for presentation. Now, even the member for Laventille West, I noticed the smirk on his face. The chairman invited members to review the final report and provide feedback. Everybody said things good. So within about 10 minutes of becoming chairman, report finished. 7 persons absent at that first meeting. And the member for Laventille West got up and said, job well done, with a report on the private security industry that requires a constitutional majority. This is not a report that requires a simple majority. You are dealing with rights, you are dealing with powers, you are dealing with issues, of confidentiality, privacy. And in 22 minutes of a meeting, and when we check the records, having presided, I believe, for 13 minutes of the meeting, report adopted. Everybody happy. Now, Madam Speaker, I don't know if the member is serious or not. I don't know if the member did not for any reason, because I know, Madam Speaker, I know I'm developing quite a history with members opposite, where they may not want me on committees and so on. But on my absence at the first meeting, for the purpose of appointing a chairman, report finalized. And no member of the opposition, myself, Pointe-a-Pierre, or the Senator Saddam Hussein were present. We were not present. And again, at the first meeting of a committee, you can look at the records. I've been around this place for 20 years or so. Generally, you would have a few members who would absent themselves at the first meeting because it is not considered that the first meeting would really dive into the meat of an area to deal with the substantive matters. You would always plan your work and agree on quorum and agree on chairman. And so sometimes members may not even agree, take part. In fact, we had a next committee where we appointed, I think, the member for San Fernando West in his absence as chairman of a committee. He wasn't even there. But we got the good news that he was willing and able to be chairman. He wasn't there, so we appointed him because we didn't get the impression that he was going to rebel. So he was appointed chairman. So, I make that point that this cannot be real. You cannot take an important matter like this and treat it in that way.